Good morning. This is station EEBC 1056, bringing you the Pontius Pilate press conference. Today, our governor will tell us what really happened on that Sunday morning. Is Jesus dead or alive?
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, welcome to the governor's press conference.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Governor Pilate will first make a brief statement, after which he will take questions from you predators. Reporters. When you are called, please stand, state your name, the name of your paper, and ask your question. I will now present to you His Honor, I can't get a name, Pontius Pilate, Governor of Judea.
Yes, Governor.
Who told you to sit down? Friends, Romans, countrymen, I am sure that each of you has heard the rumors of strange and supernatural events that have been circulating since the execution of that Jewish troublemaker, Jesus, just over 2 weeks ago. I have appointed a blue ribbon panel to conduct an investigation of these rumors, and I am pleased to inform you that their reports prove conclusively that nothing supernatural or extraordinary has occurred at all. The events surrounding their crucifixion, as strange as they seemed at the time, were all the results of completely natural causes and very easily explained. Okay. Furthermore, I can assure you that the Roman government is on top of things and fully in control of the situation. And we can reasonably expect the uncertainty of the past several days to subside until very soon the whole matter will be completely forgotten forever. It will be as if this Jesus of Nazareth never existed. Now I will be happy to take your questions. You're first, Lester.
Lester Deadbolt, Jerusalem Journal. Governor, at midday, after Jesus had been nailed to the cross, a darkness like a moonless night covered the land for about 3 hours. Were your investigators able to explain this?
Yes, they were, Lester. The chief astronomer at Jerusalem University informed them that the sudden darkness was caused by a solar eclipse. There was nothing abnormal or supernatural about it.
But sir, I interviewed the same astronomer myself, and he told me that there has not been an eclipse visible in Judea for over a year.
Obviously, you interviewed him before my investigators did. You see, he is subject to memory lapses, and my investigators, along with a couple of sturdy Roman guards, had to jog in memory a bit to get them to recall that indeed an eclipse had occurred on that day.
Governor, it seems incredible to me that an astronomer could forget an eclipse, and equally incredible that the almanac did not predict this one.
Well, Lester, it seems that almanacs are a little like reporters. They miss a few facts now and then. Helen, make a note to have these almanacs recalled and reprinted to include the eclipse. You're next, Rahima.
Rima Zealous with the Caesarea Sun-Times. It was reported at the very moment Jesus died, the great curtain that enclosed the secret holy chamber of the Jewish temple ripped down right in the middle without being touched. 3 priests fainted on the spot, and the 4th one ran away and hasn't been seen since. Did your investigators discover the cause of this strange phenomenon?
Yes, they did, Rima. They found that the curtain was woven back when Judah returned from captivity. That makes it over 500 years old. At that age, a sneeze could have ripped it apart.
But the curtain was huge, almost half a cubit thick. Age would not have caused it to rot all the way through. And certainly not from top to bottom, and not suddenly, and not at that particular moment.
You're forgetting the earthquake we had that day and the turbulent weather conditions.
But the earthquake did not damage the temple at all, and the wind could not have reached the enclosed holy place where the curtain is located. There must be another answer.
If you want me to answer your questions, you had better not question my answers. Next question, please. Yes, Hoda.
Hoda Chickpea with the National Inquisitor. Isn't it true, Governor, that there is trouble between you and your wife over this man, Jesus?
Don't be silly. She didn't even know the man.
But isn't it true that she had a dream predicting trouble if you executed him?
What if she did? I don't make decisions on the basis of my wife's nightmares. I make them on the basis of what makes me look good to Caesar. I mean, on the basis of truth and what's that other word? Justice. Yeah, that's it, justice. On particularly hard cases, I sometimes just flip a coin.
But according to the Jerusalem Society grapevine, there may be a little rift in the governor's household. We hear that Mrs. Pilate has not spoken to you since the days of the execution.
If that were true, it certainly would prove false her prediction that only bad would come of Jesus' death. Next question, please. Yes, Oprah.
Oprah Willotree with the Galilee Gazette. A number of independent sources reported that graves in the Jerusalem cemeteries opened up on that day, and many people who had been buried were seen waiting about. How do you explain this?
Why are you wasting our time on such nonsense? No rational person can believe that dead people come back to life. These are obviously groundless reports brought on by mass hysteria. The people around here are very superstitious, you know. And when you have an earthquake and a sudden darkness happening at the same time, naturally their imaginations ran wild. Every time 2 people bumped in the darkness, each thought the other was a zombie or a mummy. It's just that simple, Oprah.
But there were no reports of hysteria or fear, sir.
Exactly.
That is what makes these sightings seem so strange. Instead of reporting zombies or boogeymen, these people insist they saw their dead friends, relatives, and well-respected citizens alive again.
All right.
Absolutely the opposite of what you would expect from people under the influence of fear and hysteria.
Why are you pushing this, Oprah? We don't need a panel of experts to tell us that when you die, you're dead forever. Do you think I'm a perfect fool?
Nobody's perfect, sir.
Next question. Oh, you over there in the red blazer.
Michael Strangehan with the Gladiator Illustrated. Do you think your team will win the Super Cherry Bowl today?
What?
Hey, Mr. Gizzard, what kind of question is that? The governor is not here to talk about sports. This is a political press conference. Please stick to the subject.
You mean he isn't Don Shula, mate, coach of the Philippe Wheelers?
Oh, my.
Of course not.
Is this not the coach's pregame interview?
Of course not. It's the governor's press conference. Don't you know the governor of Judea when you see him? Where were you when he made the opening announcement?
Hey, I was just looking at my latest swimsuit issue my magazine had, and you know how it is. Governors and coaches, they change all the time. It's hard to keep up with who's in charge. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm obviously in the wrong press conference. Which way to the sports arena? I must miss my turn.
Down the hall and to your left.
Okay. Thank you. By the way, if any of you need an extra copy of that swimsuit issue, I have extra shirts there and nothing but bills. Is it? No. Sir?
Press conference, no.
Stop this, all of you. Out, Grizzard.
You got 5 on it?
We'll have a little decorum here, please. You may continue with your questions.
You're next, Bob.
Yes, Bob Skiffer with the Megiddo Mirror. A similar rumor of the one Jane mentioned says that Jesus of Nazareth, the very man you crucified that day, also rose from the dead 3 days later. They say he has been seen many times in many places by over 500 people. Do you have an explanation, sir?
Of course, Bob. The explanation is obvious. You must remember that Jesus was heading up a small religious movement when we executed him. Naturally, his disappointed followers would have liked to see that movement continue, but the death of their leader pretty much put a stop to recruiting. So to maintain the momentum and attract a following, they simply stole the body from the tomb and then claimed he had come back to life.
Well, now, why haven't your men been looking for that body? Finding it would certainly stop the rumors.
I know that. Do you think I'm a blithering idiot?
Well, of course not, sir. I've never once said you blither.
I can assure you that we are putting great effort into finding the body of Jesus, and I am confident that we will dig him up very soon.
But, Governor, it ought to be fairly easy to find a dead body. Those things are not easy to hide for long. Once my wife's cat hid a dead mouse under our bed, and a couple of days later, we had no trouble locating it at all.
If you are implying incompetence on the part of the Roman government, I resent it. But if you're suggesting that rumors of the resurrection of Christ might be true, I'd like to sell you some oceanfront property in the Sahara.
Well, now, I was not trying to imply or suggest anything, Governor. I'm just surprised that all the power and resources the Roman government can't find a dead body in a crowded city, especially when finding it would end what must be an embarrassing situation for you.
I would not be embarrassed if you nitpicking reporters were not out to make me look bad. If you would just report the news we give you instead of digging around for the truth, we could keep a lid on it. We could keep the people from being confused by facts. So get off it. Next question, George.
George Wilford of the Roman Tribune. Governor, you seem to be making a distinction between what facts and truth. Could you explain to us just what you mean by the term truth, fact?
Gladly. And you reporters,
Excuse us. Excuse me.
Usually they want us to be quiet.
Hush, hush. Yeah. Speak truth, not fact.
and you reporters, take this down and remember it well. The facts are that the Roman government says what they are and nothing more.
And what is truth?
Funny you should ask that. During my interrogation of Jesus, I asked him the same question.
And what was his answer?
Well, it was a rather silly answer when you think about it. Jesus said he was the truth. Amen. But truth is a concept, an idea, an abstraction. How can truth be a person? It just doesn't make sense.
It has something to do with his claim to be the Son of God. Wouldn't you think, believers think that the God is the stand up for truth, righteousness, and goodness. Anything that does not measure up to him is false, wrong, and evil.
All right.
That's all nothing but hogwash. In my rise to political power, I've learned that there are really no such thing as good or bad, right or wrong, true or false. There is no unchangeable, rock-solid standard that we can rely on to make our judgments. Right is simply whatever works, or is politically expedient, or accomplishes our purpose, or make you feel good, or advances your career. Wrong is whatever you get caught at. Yes, Barbara. Yes, Barbara.
Barbara Falters with the Dead Sea Evening News. Governor, do you plan to raise Social Security benefits this year?
Yes, Barbara. We plan to raise them say 3%.
What? You plan to phase them out and hike up the May rent?
No, Barbara. I said you'd get an increase.
What? We'll get it in Greece? But I don't live in Greece. I live in Judea. Do you mean you have set up Social Security office in Greece? And I have to go all the way across the Mediterranean?
Ms. Falters, we're getting off topic.
What's this about topics? Tropics. Are you setting up an office there too?
No, Ms. Falters. The purpose of this press conference is to give you the straight hype on Jesus.
What? To give us the rate hike for geezers? Good. That's all I wanted to hear. I don't know why you young whippersnappers always have to beat around the bush before you give us the simple, straight truth.
Next question, Juju.
Good morning, Pontius. I am Juju Mustang with the Lebanon Cedar Post. Governor, how was it that the body of Jesus could be stolen? The official report says that a unit of Roman soldiers was posted to watch the tomb from the moment Jesus was placed there to prevent this sort of thing from happening.
The guards fell asleep.
They fell asleep? Roman guards all fell asleep at the same time while on official duty? Surely you are not serious, sir.
That is their testimony. It's on record, so it is the truth.
Here we go. Governor, don't you feel it incredible that an entire unit of guards would fall asleep all at the same time?
Well, nobody's perfect, you know. They had a busy day, and guard duty can be terribly boring. Besides, it was a warm, calm night, and there may have been a little alcoholic beverage involved. You know how it is. Boys will be boys.
Boys will be boys, but isn't sleeping on guard duty a capital offense?
Well, yes, it is.
Okay, so these guards have been executed.
Well, no, not exactly.
No, not exactly. Governor, what does that mean? Have they been partly executed or sort of executed?
Well,
Maybe you mean they were in prison awaiting execution.
no.
Okay, Governor, look, certain inside sources say that they were told that the Jewish religious leaders paid the guards to say that they had been sleeping on guard duty in order to cover up the real truth about what happened that night. And furthermore, my sources, they said that the same Jews then paid you to get the guards off the hook. Is there any truth to any of these reports that I've received?
Of course not. I'm not a crook. Ask the guards themselves.
Okay, you know what? I tried to ask those guards, and somehow those guards have all disappeared. Would you like to tell us where they?
Enough from you, Juju. Next question. Okay, Anderson.
Anderson Blooper with the Wall Street Journal. According to the official government report, those guards were not punished at all. They were assigned to the new post outside the country. Is that true?
What a stupid question, Blooper. If it's in the official report, it's got to be true. That's what truth is, remember? Whatever is in the official report.
My question is, where those guards was punished, and why were those shipped out of the country?
Oh, come now, Blooper. Rome dominates most of the known world, and soldiers are shipped from one country to the other all the time. It's silly to look for some deep, dark, sinister reason for why any given soldier is sent to any given place. You're getting a little paranoid, aren't you?
But to find this particular guard were all sent away at this particular time, that's kind of urgent. Then from them being questioned, now is it true that you didn't, because you knew their answer or could be embarrassing to you and to your administration? Are you trying to cover up the truth, prevent the Earthline scandal in major proportion?
Blooper, you are the rat in my pantry at every press conference. I get sick and tired of your smart-aleck mouth always trying to make me look like a nincompoop.
I cannot take credit for that, Governor. You seem to handle this pretty well in your own.
Are you showing contempt for my office, Blooper?
Oh, I hope not, sir. I've been trying to best not for you to show your chart.
Guards, throw that man out of here and confiscate his notes. That's something I've been wanting to do for a long time. You're next, Brian.
Brian Gumbo with the Bethlehem Star. Governor, if you can't tell us why the guards at the tomb were not executed for sleeping on duty, perhaps you can tell us how they could have known that Jesus' followers stole the body if they were sleeping when it occurred.
What in thunder else could have happened?
My point is they could have not known what happened if they were sleeping when it happened.
Your point is clear, Gumbo. I'm not blind or stupid.
We didn't say you were blind, sir.
It's obvious that you word hackers are too boneheaded to realize the implications involved in rejecting the testimony of the gods. Can't you idiots see that either these disciples stole the body just like the God said, or this Jesus really did rise from the dead? Amen. And if he rose from the dead, we really did have a God on our hands, and we did not show him the best hospitality. Do you gentlemen want to deal with the truth, with the consequences of a truth like that? I think not. So we'd better come up with our own truth, which are quite a bit easier to deal with, even if there are a few holes in it here and there. Can't you see that I simply cannot allow my subjects to believe that Jesus is alive? I must forbid it in the name of Caesar. Let's see, who's next? Okay, Diane. Gail. Whatever.
Gail Nosering with the Hebron Herald. The Jewish religious leaders who arrested Jesus charged him with starting riots, plotting against the government, and religious heresy. Did you prove these allegations to be true?
Not a single one of them. Those holy shams were out to get Jesus, and they thought they could railroad me into believing their trumped-up charges. But I didn't get to be governor by being stupid. I got here by bribing Caesar.
Hey.
Actually, Judea wasn't even my first choice. Too dry and hot and too far from where all the action is. I wanted to be governor of the Riviera, but that costs twice as much as Judea, and I couldn't afford it.
I understand, sir. But back to the charges against Jesus. You said they were trumped up.
Yes. The moment those conniving Jews set foot in my hall, I could see they were green with envy over the influence Jesus had with the people. With mass conversions from their religion to his, he was a threat to their pocketbooks. They didn't even have enough evidence to convict a jaywalker.
Well then, since you sentenced Jesus to death, you obviously had other evidence against him. Could you tell us what that evidence was?
I had him executed because it was the politically correct thing to do.
Why? Were you afraid the Jews would start riots if they didn't get what they wanted? Were you afraid that if word got out about trouble in Judea, you would have problems with Caesar? And your career would be on the line?
My own reputation had nothing to do with it. I was merely looking out for the best interests of my people. Justice is not always as cut and dried as you would think. Sometimes you have to make very hard choices between equally bad options. In the case of Jesus, I had to weigh the rights of a single unimportant individual against the greater good of peace and harmony for the whole society.
Do you mean to say that you actually executed an innocent man and you knew it all the time?
Why do you insist on putting it that way? I tried to give Jesus a fair trial, but he wouldn't do anything to defend himself. Just stood there like a dumb sheep when a single word could have made him a free man. Then I had him beaten, hoping those bloodthirsty Jews would have a little pity and let him go. Might as well expect a spider to pity the fly in its web.
You're all heart, sir.
And that's not all I did for him. We traditionally release one prisoner to the Jews during their Passover celebration. I let them choose between Jesus and Barabbas, the worst criminal we've had in years. But would you believe it? They chose Barabbas. They'd rather have him terrorizing the countryside again than to have Jesus healing and working miracles. The fools. But at least I did what I could for him. His death was not my fault.
Then whose fault was it? You are the only one in Judea with the authority to pronounce a death sentence.
No,
if
please.
If he was innocent, you You could have set him free.
No, please don't say that. Can't you see? I had to do it. The people wanted it. All right, so he was innocent. And yes, I knew it. I could tell in everything about him, his bearing, his calmness, his patience, his unblinking gaze, looking at me as though he could see every thought, every sin, every lie I was telling myself to rationalize taking his life, just so I wouldn't have to deal with that howling mob of animals.
But you washed your hands in front of that crowd to show that you accepted no responsibility for his death.
Yes,
Aren't you sticking to the claim?
Yes, I washed them, but I couldn't get them clean. Look, they're dripping with blood, his blood. I can feel it on my hands all the time. I've washed them over and over, but it doesn't help. I still feel the blood. My hands, oh, my poor hands. Is there any God that will hear me? Caesar, Jupiter, my hands, the blood, please help me. Help me.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, the governor has not been feeling too well lately. It's the stress of his office. You understand. I hope you will consider that you report on this conference.
Now, wait. One more question, please. Jesus claimed to be the Son of God. In light of all that has happened since his death, have you seriously considered that this claim might be true?
I've already said this conference is over. Each of you would just have to answer that question for yourself.
Into our press conference. We hope you all will figure out for yourselves, is he alive? Is he alive? Give our cast a hand. They've worked hard. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Reverend Boone. I want to start off by saying thank you, and thank you for the play that you put together, and we love you and appreciate you for all you have done for us.
Thank you so much. I didn't have to do much because the cast did it all.